Okay.
Okay.
All right, so official recording. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is a great attempt at 1 hour. We're going to try and keep it to 1 hour. We'll stay after for questions, but we're going to try and boogie through a bunch of information on starting on Instagram, Instagram 101, beginners, Instagram for beginners, whatever you want to call it. We have with us today, I'll start in my perspective, Amy Dowd of Coastal Marketing Solutions. We invited Amy today. She's not a self-proclaimed Instagram expert, but she has a lot of marketing expertise. And, you know, I find anytime you're working with a tool or, you know, Instagram, you can call it a tool, there's the mechanics of it, the science, and then there's what's a good idea and what isn't a good idea. So we wanted to have some more people on today and just like help field general questions. We're going to have a slide like, what do I talk about, right? So that's a big part of this. Social media is social, and networking online and socializing online is different than person to person. So having some different perspectives, I think is really nice and will contribute well to what we're talking about. If I go down, I see Allison Oberton of Oberton Marketing, official.
Cape Cod Digital Marketing, I'd say official. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I used the wrong logo.
They're both the same. It's both me.
Allison is really our resident Instagram expert. I know it enough to help build businesses. Allison really knows the mechanics of it. She knows it a lot better than I do. I invited her to participate today. Her knowledge will be hugely helpful today, as well as having a lot of broad digital marketing knowledge. And do you want to talk about your boot camp?
Well, I do. It's just not quite ready yet, but I am putting together a full digital marketing boot camp that I want to offer to the community coming up very, very soon within the next couple of weeks. That will it'll go through the whole spectrum of digital marketing from a holistic viewpoint. And so once that is ready, I'm going to send an invite out to this whole group and then out into the community.
Okay. So if you want, put your website or your newsletter sign up in the chat so you can announce it. And I don't want to give it away, but it's going to be super reasonable and it's really geared for folks who can't afford or who don't have a budget to pay a company to do it, right? It's a lot of self-marketing stuff that they can do on their own.
Yeah, it's really a baseline education on what you should know to either be doing your own marketing, or if you're going to hire somebody, you should really kind of understand some of these concepts before hiring somebody so that you can at least, you know what you're paying for and know what the results are saying, things like that. So yes, the price is going to be significantly discounted for my Cape Cod crew.
Okay, then we'll keep going. Robin Orbison of Cape Space needs no introduction.
Oh, come on. I need some kind of introduction.
Robin is the owner proprietor of Cape Space Work Centers in Mashpee and Hyannis. I think a lot of us here have probably been there, seeing how your newsletter brought a lot of registrants to, but Cape Space is a place where you can have everything from a private dedicated office like we do to hold a meeting, come in for an hour, use the facilities. They've got everything you need to conduct your business or to have a quick meeting, faxing, printing, coffee, you name it. It's kind of like the place to go in Hyannis or Mashpee if you need to do something. And I started there because I just got a mailbox and I wanted to be found on Google, and that's a whole different discussion. But do you want to add anything, Robin?
No, you're doing an excellent job. Thank you. But
So,
yeah, if you want to get found on Google or have a legitimate business address for your financial aid applications, or if you just don't feel like going to the post office and the bank anymore, we can help with that. And we will be rolling out some new space layouts for COVID. We're getting ready for reopening. We will be rearranging our furniture so that people will be able to sit either 6 feet away from their nearest neighbor, or if we can't get you 6 feet away, there will be partitioning. We'll have some new cleaning protocols, some new rules and regulations for how people can, help us keep the space safe. And really looking forward to getting back and seeing people.
Great, we are too. So with that said, let's jump right into it. You can ask any questions. There's a little Q&A button on your Zoom little frame here. Richard Carlson's already sent a question that will address how do I reset my password. I think when we get to the right screen, Allison, we can address that. Another one is, can you see me? No, all attendees have the video disabled, or at least you should. So we can't see you, only you can see us. And when I go to share my screen, we'll be like little bubbles at the top. So with that said, let's jump right into it. By the way, I am a 25-year IT veteran, and these things horrify me. So I'm going to do the best I can. And I also give the caveat, I've got cats, neighbors, delivery people who just seem, it's like this is a place to come and bang on the doors and windows and get in the frame. So I'll just throw that out there as well. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. All right, great. So there's your lovely logo, Allison. Introduction to Instagram, Cape and Plymouth Business. We are the only business-focused magazine and really online presence in the South Shore. We have a monthly printed magazine. It's also available digital. We have a pretty strong newsletter, social media following. We don't really report on news. We our motto is we educate the business community. And in these times, I feel like I say that a lot, in these trying times, we're trying to get information out there to help people. We have all kinds of webinars we're doing. If you have an idea for one or you want to provide one, please let us know. Allison is our resident, really Instagram expert, and Robin has been gracious enough to help promote this event. So let's jump right into it. Allison, I don't know how you want to do this. You want me to just kind of go with it, or?
Yeah, if you want to just kind of go through, I think maybe we could kind of be conversational like we've done in the past and tend
Okay.
to.
So, as this being a one-on-one class, what is Instagram, right? You can see the logo on the left. You've probably seen it at some point, and we're going to ask, why should we care, right? So Instagram is a social networking app. It's really mobile only, right? So that's the point of it. You can do some of it from your desktop. There are some Safari and Chrome browser tools that allow you to use some of the features, but it's really meant for a phone. Facebook is definitely a different demographic. We can talk about that. Facebook is a lot more dynamic. It's a lot more, I think, conversational, more opinions, there's just more. Instagram is very slimmed down. Obviously, it's made for a phone, so there's a lot. I don't want to say there's less that you can do, but it's just a different concept. It's really focused on sharing photos, sharing videos. I don't know if this is still true, but at one point, you couldn't post unless you included a photo or a video. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Text is not, it's not a thing on Instagram. There's some creative ways that we can, again, this is social, right? So we're trying to be social through photos and videos. There are some things that we can do with text that we'll talk about. The concept is a feed, just like in Facebook, right? You see one post at a time, takes up pretty much the whole viewport, if you will, what you can see on your phone at a time. You can send a message from one user to another. You do have to sign up. You do have to, there are some privacy options that we'll get into. One of the big things about Instagram that I find as a marketer is it really discourages automation. So the content on Instagram is a little bit more authentic. So on Facebook, there's a lot of ways that marketers can use software to automatically like your post and to automatically write things and share it. And that's true on Instagram, but they make it harder and they block people a lot more. So when you're posting on Instagram, the chances of you getting real eyeballs and real interaction, not so much interaction, but real people seeing it is higher. It's definitely younger demographic, and you know, there's an age line where it kind of spikes. And a lot of people say, you know, why should I care? Like, why should I be on this? I'm a business. Why should I be on Instagram? It's for kids and people posting photos of their food or whatever. And that's true. But, you know, my opinion is your customers are there, right? And recently someone said, you know, the only time I go on Instagram is to see what my kids are doing. And I'm like, right, but you buy things. So you're there, whether you're there because your kids are there or some other reason, you're there. And that's a reason why the businesses, you know, you patronize should also be there. And there's a way that we'll talk about it, how we can do that. So I talked about there's a big age gap. It's kind of split 50-50 men and women. It is a heavily used platform. About 63% of registered users use it at least once a day. And how are people using it, right? So let's look at the age. So if you look 18 to 24, 25 to 34 makes up just more than 60% of the total users. I'd say that's probably a sweet spot for a lot. You know, if you're a business that caters to that demographic, that's your sweet spot. I don't know how many attendees today are gearing towards 13 to 17-year-olds. I'm in the next age group. I won't tell you what end I'm on, but 35 to 44 is about 17% use it. And then as you can see the graph, as it goes up, it does decline slightly. I think that's changing. It's definitely that 25, that definitely 35 plus. I notice a lot of my friends are on Instagram now. That age group is getting more in tune with Instagram. And the thing, you know, Robin and I talk a lot about marketing, and I always say, you know, you think about your customer, right? Your customer, maybe your target customer is in their 40s or 50s, but do they have someone that works for them that's doing research, right? To help that business make buying decisions? Do they have someone in their 20s or their 30s, right? Maybe the call you get is from someone older, but do they have someone younger who's influencing them? They're probably on Instagram, right? So there's another reason why we need to be thinking about it.
Gail, can I ask a question?
Of course.
So these stats here, are these sort of overall for Instagram? And do these percentages hold sort of true for our area?
This is Instagram in general. And at the end of the presentation, I have I'll make the presentation available to whoever wants it. There are sources where we get all the data from. You can go out and look. But this is not for our area. That type of information is not available to my knowledge. So I think when you become an advertiser, and we'll just barely touch that, when you're pushing ads out to folks, I think you can get a little bit more information on people in your area, and probably not at this level though.
Yeah,
So-
you have a good point there, Dale. So another reason to start using it is so that you can actually gather your own insights to see what's working for your business and what's not working. We'll see a lot of stats like this where they're kind of global stats, but each individual business, particularly on the Cape or local, like hyper-local businesses, are going to have pretty unique data points that they should be using to kind of make decisions on their marketing activities.
I will say that I have 2 retail clients, and their target market wouldn't be in the 18 to 24, and they heavily use Instagram, and I think probably successfully to reach their markets. So, you know, from probably from 25 up to 54 is where their market. You know, I mean, the actual buyers are probably 35 to 54, but they're trying to reach the next market, you know, that next age group as they start to age into those. So they're trying to reach it on an early basis.
Right. And I think, you know, in my experience, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
It might take you several years. That 34-year-old is now, or that 18 to 24-year-old rather, is now in a few years has seen you and is now closer to your target market, right?
Right.
They've taken a job where they're working for someone, or maybe they're starting a business, or maybe they have even, you know, you can even abstract it and say they have an uncle, parent, friend who has a business, and they get asked a question and they say, oh, I see this company all the time on Instagram. So that's how these things work. It's never, you know, in marketing, there's never a silver bullet, so to speak. And, you know, like I always say in my presentations, we're going to go through this and you're going to decide whether or not it's something you want to do.
Yeah, just to add to that. So I don't know, I forget the deck exactly, but for any, and it's also difficult because I don't know what compiles our kind of our audience here, but I do want to say that whenever I do these social media educational things, I always want to say you need to look at your business and what you sell and who you sell to. And maybe Instagram isn't the best place to start. There's definitely a huge opportunity to sell on Instagram, but it's really all about engagement and connecting with your community, your online community. So when you think about, well, do you sell services or do you sell products? You know, somebody who sells products is going to have a much easier time coming up with imagery than somebody who sells services. So maybe Instagram isn't the best channel to start off with. If you sell B2B, business to business versus business to consumer, again, maybe Instagram isn't the first place that you're going to start. So really take a step back and look at who it is that you're selling to and kind of consider if it's appropriate to go into Instagram. It's definitely a little bit more casual than something like LinkedIn. It's more visual than Facebook. But there's definitely a lot of ways to use it from a marketing perspective. But as a marketer, it's, you know, you don't want to come across as a marketer. You really need to have a genuine conversation with the followers of your business page. So that's kind of where I would start, is to kind of determine, you know, what your bandwidth is as a business, as an organization, to come up with visual content on a really regular basis, on a very consistent basis. It can be really hard to keep up with. So just something to bear in mind when considering, should I use Instagram or not? Or maybe it's something I tack, you know, in a year or so.
Great points. And we're going to have a slide in a few minutes that show an example of someone selling and an example of someone just being social.
Yeah.
So the last graph on the slide, kind of bottom center, it's largely images, followed up by video. We all know that video is, if you don't know that video's hot right now. Not everyone has time or budget for video, but you know, with the advancement of phones, there are ways to take quick videos for social media. And there are also, you know, companies on Cape Cod who can help with that if you need something a little bit more creative, something a little bit more strategic. Carousels. Yep.
Dale, I'm sorry, it's Robin. Do you mind if I just jump in here for another second?
Sure.
I'd just like to make since you're talking about video resources, I'd like to just make a plug for our good friends at the Cape Cod Community Media Center in Dennisport. Okay. For a very small amount of money, you can become a member of the Media Center, and they have equipment and individuals on site who can help you put together a video of almost any length or level of sophistication. So terrific resource on the Cape for any business who is looking at video.
Good to know. Thank you very much. All right, so let's boogie on here. Next slide. So obviously we need to create an account. We said earlier that this is a mobile optimized platform, and So you're going to want to create an account from your phone. You can link your accounts from your Facebook page. So if you already have a Facebook account, you can use that as your login to Instagram. And if you don't know, Facebook owns Instagram. They purchased it or acquired it or whatever the correct term is several years ago. So we're not going to go in depth in this stage, but basically you can log in with your Facebook. You can sign up with your phone or your email. I personally always use my email to sign up for anything. I just don't trust, I just don't trust anything else. I know that if I have my email, I can do a reset password. If I get a new phone, just a personal thing. But all these different options, they do make it really easy. You're going to add your name. You can create a little bio, a little bit about yourself, add a little avatar, obviously create your password, enter your birthday, and automatically Instagram is going to start giving you what we call discovery ways. It's going to suggest things to you. Like we've got a screenshot here, Nike, Taylor Swift. It's going to start suggesting things to you. There are ways you can use your contacts, see who's, contacts in your phone, discover people you already know. You can direct search for people. There are a variety of ways you can start to find content similar to the way you do on Facebook. The last step is you are going to have to confirm your account if you use an email. Moving on. So when you create your account, just like with Facebook, there are ways that Instagram can help keep your profile safe, right? So you can have a public profile, which basically anybody can see, and I can start following you. I don't need your permission. Everything you post, if I go to your profile, I can see everything you've done. And then there's private. Private is, and Facebook has similar mechanisms. If I find your profile on Instagram, before I can see your content, I have to make a request. And you have to approve that before I can find out more about you. Obviously, this is desirable for those who want to have maybe a tight network, or if you have a child, you can say whatever your argument is about having kids on social media. A lot of kids under 18 are using it, as you saw. A private profile keeps the public out from seeing any personal information, and also won't appear in any searches for folks trying to discover new content. And, a big concept for me that I couldn't get over is like people are actually searching for types of content. If you're a foodie, people are looking for foodies. If you're on Cape Cod, people are actually using Instagram to find places to go on Cape Cod. They're using it to find places to eat, places to stay. It like blew my mind. I'm like a Google dude, right? I've been Googling things since the early 2000s. I just go and type it. People are using this tool to discover new places to go and new content. It's really amazing once you kind of see it.
Just a
So
note of that too, Dale, is
Sure.
particularly during this period, I've been looking, because Google is a little bit slow to index some things, as we know, searching for restaurants that don't normally deliver or that have kind of a new menu or whatever. I've been finding a lot of my restaurant ordering on Instagram because they're posting their menus. I ordered from a place the other day just because they posted their kind of abbreviated takeout menu on Instagram. So it's a good
That's amazing.
opportunity. Yeah.
That would be something cool to share in the chat. I would like to see that if you remember it.
Yeah.
We have an answer here, a question, I'm sorry. Do you have to use the app or can you use the Instagram website? You have to use the app to post. You can use the website to log in and to look at your feed and to like things. The Instagram website's it's not like Facebook where the website is almost better than the app. It's actually the reverse.
Yeah.
To post anything, to share anything, you have to use the app. And if that doesn't answer your question, feel free to provide more info.
There's a couple questions in the chat, but I figure we'll cover those a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll get to forgot my password from Richard. And then there was someone who asked my name. My name is Dale Shabijan. I apologize. That was the other question. So just like on Facebook, you can have a personal page or profile, and you can have a business profile. A lot of folks ask, like, how do I know the difference? Like, you know, I see a lot of realtors on Facebook, they just use their personal profile, right? A lot of photographers, they're doing their own branding at a personal level. On Instagram, that's also common. And I think the argument is, if you're trying to build a personal brand, right? If you're a realtor and you're building you as a brand, and you maybe, you know, your strength is you and not the brokerage, and maybe you move brokerages, or you're a photographer and it's like your craft is you, a personal page makes a lot of sense. However, if you want to get more into the science of how people are looking at your posts, and get a little bit more information, maybe do some ads, add a contact button, you have to switch to a business profile. That's a personal decision you have to make.
Yeah. Can I just jump in? So
Yeah, of course.
so if you're a business, I have a personal profile, which you're looking at my beautiful personal profile right now. And then I also have a number of business profiles. And I would say the big difference would be if you are, if it's your personal sort of self as a brand, and you're trying to decide whether or not you should be a business or personal account, bear in mind that your personal, like my personal account has a picture of my daughter sleeping, my dog with a sleep mask on, like my brothers. You know, that's something that I don't necessarily feel is going to bring any value to my potential kind of business community. Whereas on my business profile, I'm going to be posting things that are really hyper relevant to my business. So I think that would be a big differentiator for people, is where you're personal, you can post your food and, you know, your recent, you know, 5K stats and things like that. Whereas your business profile is really going to be more strictly your business. Now, for some people, their whole life is their business. And so it makes sense. But you only get certain analytics if you're a business profile. So if you do decide to sort of be, if your business is where like a realtor or photographer, you may want to switch to a business profile, even though there's a bit of a blended line there, just so you can get some of the analytics that come along with a business profile. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I agree, Allison. For that reason alone, for a business, I think it would be helpful. And if you ever did decide you wanted to try to do, you know, dabble with a little bit of ad, you know, ad area, you have a targeting component to it, and you're already set up. So, yeah, I agree with that assessment completely.
Great points. And I won't show the video here, but Allison kindly made us a video to show you how you can switch. And there's a link down here, which again, we'll send the presentation out after, or we'll make it available. You can actually switch back and forth between business and personal if you want to. We decided we're going to start playing around with Instagram. We kind of know why. We kind of got an idea of who's using it. You're about to take that big step, right? When you are posting or putting out content for people to consume, you have two choices. The most obvious choice is to do a post, just like on Facebook. I take my picture, I press a button, I type something out, I hit post, right? And that comes as part of your traditional feed. A post, which we are probably most accustomed to, is it's an image or a video, and it lives on your page. It stays there forever, right? So a week later, if you're like, you want to go back and share that post with someone, you can go back to Allison's feed, find that post and share it or comment or show your friend, whatever. Posts usually have captions. So with a post, with a video, or like I said, you can, an image or a video, you can type something with it. they're usually, I don't want to say they're more planned out, but they're a little bit more, someone used the word contrived in the past, which to me is a little negative, but the word in its meaning means it was kind of put together for a purpose. You had a purpose for someone. You kind of framed it out a certain way, and you had a takeaway you want from that. A story is, it's kind of like when you look at stories on Instagram, and there's a button for it, you kind of get like it's a little bit more of like a point in time type of a post. It disappears after 24 hours, and we'll look at an example of each, so it can give you a little bit more detail on it. It's meant to be more real time. It's a little bit, Instagram's really promoting stories. I don't know why from a business point of view, other than maybe the content disappears, so it encourages people to keep posting. The life of a post or a story right now is so drastically short. I feel like it's by design from these companies. I mean, if you think about it, the more people are posting, the more you want to go. Once you look at something, you want to look at the next thing, and that keeps you engaged, and that helps raise money for these companies. And I don't want to be negative about it, but it's just the way it works.
So for post, Eric, go back real quick. So,
Yeah.
so for posts, if you think of it like when on your profile page, you're going to have kind of your everything that you've ever posted is going to be on your profile, which is the picture on the left there. And so that's just going to be your constant kind of feed of content to images to whoever's following your profile page. Whereas stories, like Dale was explaining, are kind of this real time, and a lot of times for businesses, it ends up being, or what seems to get engagement is like the behind the scenes kind of stuff. If you have a product, like how it's made, if you have a service, like here's our office space, things like that. And there's different benefits to stories versus posts that you can take advantage of from a business perspective. For example, you cannot put a link in a regular post. You can't link to anything specific. So you have to kind of say, visit my, profile or whatever. You leave it up to them to type it in separately. Whereas stories, there's the swipe up option within it. We can send out some resources for future reading on this, but there's more options in stories to kind of get more engagement on that specific post. The other thing is that it prioritizes, because Instagram/Facebook wants to get more engagement on, they know that people engage more with video content versus just still images content. It gets kind of prioritized up on the top of your screen. So it's actually, if you post a story, it's kind of stuck there at the top for that 24 hours versus posting in the feed that everybody else is posting in. So you kind of get pushed down, the list of content that people are looking at when you post, whereas a story, it's always at the top there and people just go through all the stories separately.
Right,
So,
stories, I mean, I think stories are really meant to be watched, and posts are really meant, like if you want to solicit feedback from somebody, you would do a post, like you might put a picture and say, what do you think about this? Or how's your, I don't know, you show something funny, a disaster. How's your day going? It's a little bit more, I feel like it's a little bit more interactive. I don't personally, stories are, I don't understand them.
they're funny. Yeah, they keep
gets-
adding to them. Like you can do
it gets-
polls now on stories. Like there's all sorts of different things. But again, it's like, how much do you have? If this is the tool or the platform for social media that you're going to get into, there's lots and lots and lots of things that you can get into, which is why I always caution people to kind of choose a channel and get that right first. So if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and if Instagram is the channel that makes sense for your business, stories have come a long way since they first came out. They definitely, like Dale's saying, I think the posts have their place and their use, and stories, Instagram is definitely trying to make it more engagement worthy. So with the swipe up option on a story where you can actually link to something, you can create a poll in a story and have people engage that way. People can message directly from the stories, things like that. So it's always changing. So not to be discouraging. It's
Yeah,
always
well, that's the
changing.
fun of it.
Yeah.
We have a question. What's the cost of a business profile versus personal? They're both free. If you want to run ads, you need a personal profile and you have to pay for those. What would we recommend for nonprofit? I mean, I think hands
Business.
down, probably a business profile.
Yep.
Allison, I mean,
Yeah.
again,
Definitely.
for all the reasons we stated before, you can run ads, better analytics, and it keeps your personal and business life separated. If you have a personal account but want to create a business, can you easily obtain your contacts and followers?
No.
If you have a personal account, well, you can switch it
You
after
can
the fact.
switch over, but if you decide to create a new account, as a business account, that's great. And if you're going to make that separation, I think that's great. But it takes a little bit of work to so you can go and start following everybody that you follow on your personal account. And that's one thing you can do. A lot of times people will see that. They may know that it's your business and then follow you back. Alternatively, you could post on your personal, hey, I created a business account, please follow me here. And that's a way to kind of get the followers, but you can't just import all of your followership to a new account.
Right. Thank you. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because this can be a rabbit hole, but a common question is, what's the right size photo or video to use? Understand that the phone is a different aspect, meaning, short top as the printers call it versus long, like a postcard, like a traditional postcard. If you understand video sizing, these are some recommendations. If you don't, and like pixels just confuse the heck out of you, I would recommend, just like when you take a picture, right? It's going to be viewed on your phone up and down. So when you're framing your photo, you want to put your you want to imagine, what you're seeing on your camera here is going to be pretty close to what you see on Instagram. Instagram and both Facebook, they're pretty smart about trying to center. Like if you take a wide photo, I noticed this, you take a wide photo and the subjects are off center, it will try and crop it for you. So you might want to practice taking some photos and uploading them at first. You can always delete them afterwards. Any modern camera is going to be able to take a photo that's wide enough, or video has enough detail in it to meet these requirements. Anything else?
No, I would just say, just take a lot of pictures and don't be shy. I mean, not everything is going to be progress over perfection. I mean, not everybody's like a professional photographer, so.
Right, and the other thing I always say is sometimes you want to try and leave space around, like you don't want to be too close. You want to try and take a couple steps back. Your pictures are probably 5 times the size as they need to be. Take a step back. You can always, as you get a little better with your skills, you can learn how to crop the photo a little bit if you want. It's better to be a little bit further away than too close. So here's 2 examples. On the left is a post, on the right is a story. The left is a local business. They're in my neighborhood. It's a restaurant. They're hopping in the summertime. And so what I really like about this post is it has nothing to do with their business. This is social. The basic gist of it was they're outside, like restaurants closed. They've been posting different pictures of walking around in their yard or their community. Got 100 likes. I mean, that's 100 people that saw Meet Me at Chapin's just doing their thing. It's not like, hey, come get a bowl of clam chowder this Friday, or don't you miss our buffalo wings? Like, yeah, I do miss them, but what am I gonna do? So they're doing what they can to be a little bit more social. They had a lot of comments. You can see the emojis. There's some fun in this post. It's not super serious. To me, I like this example. I think they did a nice job. On the right is a story. a lot of folks use stories for like flash sales. And the point of this slide is, what do I say, right? So, and this is a really common question. I think it's fun to take people behind the scenes, show them something they might not normally see. Again, keeping it professional. If you're a restaurant, you don't show, someone like chopping up this like dirty kitchen. It's like, it has to be done in a tasteful way. Showing the human side of your business. Pets are great. Obviously, you're showing your human side. Showing something in process. If you're a remodeling company, showing a framed kitchen with the wiring done. Showing a heating system, how they plan on bringing it through the home and how it's going to benefit them. Anything. I think about parts of your business that the customer might not see. That's really important and interesting, and maybe give them a tip, right? Tips are great. Flash sales, I think, are considered appropriate. Again, the big takeaway here is keep it fun, professional, engaging, social, not selling. But I think on Instagram, flash sales are kind of accepted. Would you agree, Allison?
Yeah, for products, I think it's a little bit easier. Like I said, first of all, visually, you have a product to take a picture of. But if it's something like, I know there's a couple people here that make their own products. So videos of, sanding something, or, some of my clients will see like videos of like demos and things like that. Just think about what you're looking at or what you like to see. I like to promote the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your content is really just purely engaging content that, it's the type of content that you would want to see. It's not like an ad where, 20% of the time, I think it's acceptable to, if it makes sense and it's appropriate, to kind of do a soft sell. But with all of the social media platforms, they were built as social media. And consumers today are really, really keen on sales tactics. They've caught on to us. So, I think the most successful businesses are the ones that are most genuinely sharing content with their audience. They're not trying to sell. They're just trying to show what their brand personality is. And those are going to get them the most engagement on those posts. So.
Yeah, social media is not that different. I don't want to go extensively on this, but imagine if you were at a business and the owner came out and smiled at you and said, "Hey, how you doing today? What's your day like? Here's what I'm doing." You're left with a feeling that is a little special. Social media is no different. They're putting themselves out there to, communicate with you and be visible in a certain way that shows that they care, right? And I think that's the takeaway, on this slide. Something in here, I actually stole this story from a Sprout Social website that I like to read, because it has an example. It says link in bio. And if you're not familiar with Instagram, that concept might be foreign to you. So when you do a post on Instagram, or when you make a post on Instagram, you're not allowed to link. So a lot of folks will say, visit my link in the bio. What that basically means, if you go to that, you can view their bio in Instagram and there'll be a link there. This has changed a little bit recently, but essentially that link can take you out to a special offer, or sign up for our newsletter, or maybe there's other ways you can connect, Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn. There's also a new thing called the link tree. So your link in your bio can go to a special page that has a whole bunch of links on it. Because, just like Facebook, Instagram is designed to keep you in Instagram, right? So using this link in your bio to come out to buy something, to sign up for your newsletter, or to do something different is very common. That's how you would want to do it. This is, so here's an example of what a link tree looks like. You can click on the profile photo of the person who posted or made the story. Cape and Plymouth Business uses a link tree. you go to the bio, you click on this link, and then it will show you a bunch of other places you can go to on your phone to kind of help you discover more specific content. So this is a really big concept. Hashtags. I gotta be honest, it took me a long time to get my head around hashtags, just why people would use them. But before we jump to that, great content, consistent color scheme, high quality images, plan posts out in advance, right? You can use what's called a carousel, multiple photos in one post. So if you're featuring a product, maybe, your first picture should always be the best. You can swipe and you can see maybe in different angles or how you can see the product and maybe how it's used. If you're a service provider, as Allison said, you've got to be a little bit more creative on how you might visualize your business. Staying true to your brand. So, if you've got some pictures of your posts, your products, your service, don't go out and start using stock photography. Try and keep it consistent. Try and keep it in line with what people would expect to see from you. And we can get into, your newsletter should match your website, should match your business card. Trying to keep that sort of experience through and through. Curated content, you'll hear this come up. Curated content generally means you found something informative or interesting from another provider or another content producer. And so let's say for Robin's example, she found a great article on how certain businesses are using co-working, right? And maybe there's a really great tip on that she can use that applies to her business. You can do that, but when you don't make your own when you're not creating your own content, it can get kind of stale for your followers. Hashtags. So when you post something, hashtag is like the numeral sign, the numeric sign, if you're not familiar. And people actually follow hashtags. So, an example would be Cape Cod. I can actually see every post from everybody in the world. If they post a picture and they write hashtag Cape Cod, in theory, there's probably millions of them. I could follow that hashtag, or I could see a photo that says hashtag Cape Cod. I could tap on it, and then I'll see a whole feed of everything tagged to Cape Cod. Now, it sounds silly, right? I thought it was silly, but like I said before, people are using it. Like if you're a foodie and you're coming to Cape Cod on vacation, there's folks that will hashtag like foodie Cape Cod, and you can hit that hashtag and you can find all the great places that other people think are great to go on Cape Cod. Every business uses it, whether you're in home improvement, insurance, you sell a product. It is like the best way you can get discovered. I never saw it. As some of you probably know me from 118 Group Web Design, Emily, who runs our Instagram, she recently did a post about how a certain web hosting company was insecure, and she just wrote like hashtag web security. Like, I forget where it was. Someone from like the Midwest found this post and contacted 118 Group to help secure their website. I was just like blown away. Like, if you told me that was going to happen, I would tell you you're crazy. But I can tell you, like, it's actually happening. And giving your content good hashtags is really important. And Allison, I can tell you're probably chomping at the bit to say something about this. You know a lot more than I do.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but you know a lot about it. There's a question in the chat box from Serenity, and she basically said, how do you increase your following? And this is one of those ways where it's kind of a strategy that you can use to increase your followership on subjects that are actually relevant to your business. So if you refurbish antiques and then resell them, for example. There's tons of hashtags that you could be adding to your the comments section, that, there's of course probably a huge following on people that, purchase those kinds of refurbished antiques and things. And so they're probably following, quote unquote, they're following that hashtag. And so it's going to come up in their feed if you've done something really wonderful recently and you kind of think through what hashtags you're going to use that are relevant to your business. So it's a good way to gather some followership. And it's also a good way, you have it noted down here, but it's a good way for you to keep an eye on what your competitors are doing, or what other, maybe not competitors, but what other related industry visual content is going up there, so you can kind of be in the know of what else is going on. You don't want to be like operating in your own little silo on Instagram by yourself. So it's a good way to kind of interconnect with other businesses within your industry, as well as possible consumers of your business as well. Yeah, and so you can click on hashtags as well. I mean, there's a lot to say about hashtags. I would say one thing to do is to just make sure, if you're gonna hashtag something, make sure you kind of check it out first. As with all of these social networks, there's always some potential for weird things to show up. So you want to make sure you check the hashtags that you're using. And what else is there?
I remember I did a post once. I forgot what it was, but I did hashtag sorry, not sorry. Right. So the other thing that hashtags can be fun, where you just have, like, have you ever seen the like caption this photo contest? You just put a photo up and you put hashtag sorry, not sorry, hashtag happy Tuesday. Can make it just kind of fun. I tapped on hashtag sorry, not sorry. I don't want to tell you what the photo I saw was, but I immediately removed it. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to use that. So,
you might not want to be associated with who else is posting in those hashtags. So we had a hashtag playground. I heard a story about that one at one point. So apparently it's not just playgrounds. So
I can imagine. That's a great.
Do either of you know if, like, I know that certain companies use, like major brands that use certain hashtags. Are they somehow registering those, or is it still just a free for all of how you use them?
Yeah, I think it's just a free for all at this point. I think there's a way to be really strategic about it. For me, I'm like, my business is Cape Cod Digital Marketing. So I'm going to try and think of related. I know that like you guys do similar stuff, but it's kind of like, but some brands will dominate a hashtag and then it kind of ends up seeming like they own it. But they don't. They've just really encompassed it and used it a lot. So then I think that might be what you're thinking of, where they, and of course, if there's like a tagline or something that's associated with a brand, that will make sense as well. So actually think of it that way too. If you're a brand and you have a tagline or something, it's kind of cute to sort of own your own hashtag and then, evangelize it, have, your friends and family and business supporters kind of help evangelize that hashtag. It can be kind of fun.
Absolutely. If you're a business, I'm just thinking about like Cape Cod Coffee, right? So they're a pretty, visible, prominent company in Cape Cod. If you're drinking a Cape Cod coffee and you want to encourage people to actually hashtag it, because then, hashtag coffee, hashtag Cape Cod coffee, blah, blah, blah. There's a good chance that coffee lovers will somehow find that brand. And so it's encouraged. Are you going to get the negative? With all good things come the bad things, right? So if someone's acting inappropriately with a hashtag or even a post in general, you can report it, right? So slander is always a tough, or is it libel or slander when it's on social? It depends, I guess, right? That's always a tough thing to monitor, but you can report posts, and Instagram does have policies. if you had a pair of shoes that weren't Nikes, you made them and you called them Nikes, you could report them, right? So there are some policing and guidelines that do happen, but it's mostly community led. So
Yeah.
we have a question. How do you follow hashtags rather than search for them?
How do you follow them rather than search for them?
Yes.
Well, you'd have to, well, you go into, when you're on your Instagram page.
I know it's hard to show.
Yeah, I don't like what I did there. So if you want to follow a hashtag, I would go in and, so okay. So do you know how to show it where it looks like a phone, Dale? So
No.
if you do inspect, right? Like right click, inspect, and then do the little tablet icon next to elements. So that like makes it look like it's on a phone.
Yep.
So then I think you should, can you go to search from here? Or go to the home?
I can do it from a desktop, but I actually don't know how to.
Maybe if you can look on comments, if there's any comments
I'm
on one.
afraid of what comes up here. from my
I know.
phone.
Fine.
How about
Look
this?
for one with comments.
We'll make a video and send it to you because I'll use myself right here, and I don't know what will come.
You basically are going to want to search. Go to your search. If you go on your home when you're on your phone, I can share mine a little bit. There's a little magnifying glass, and you hit the magnifying glass, and that brings you to a search screen. And you type in where, marketing for me. I'm going to type in marketing. And then when you do it, I know it's kind of hard to see, but there's like these little icons at the top, and you can actually decide if you want to see accounts, people, or hashtags or locations. So you can actually click on, so I typed in marketing and then I clicked on hashtags. So I can basically click these and follow the hashtags. But I'll do a little video and we'll send it out.
Yeah, and I think this is a good example. On the desktop, I can like these posts, I can comment, but I can't, the plus sign at the bottom where you actually add to your stories, your feed is gone. I can't search for anything.
Yeah, this is just this was like I was trying to find a way to record. How do you go from personal to?
Yeah, it's pretty watered down.
Yeah, but so definitely the phone would be the way to go, and you search for hashtags, and then you can actually follow them from the search results.
Right. So this topic is really hard to cover in 1 hour. It's just so broad. We can offer follow-up. If you have specific questions on how to do something, I'll be happy to record a video on how to do it, either Allison or I. So we're at 1 o'clock. I'm going to just hit the last slide. If you want to jump off, feel free to jump off. We'll go through this right now.
Yeah, maybe there's a couple of questions we didn't answer, so I just want to address those as well.
I answered that one. What do we have?
So it's in the chat. So Serenity, she
Richard
said,
Carlson's password.
oh, the password, I sent a message over. I said we should.
Someone, let's do this last slide real quick, and then I think I can answer Richard's at the end.
I sent him a note saying that he should submit a support with Instagram.
Okay.
Serenity wanted to know, how often do you recommend posting? Which is answered right here, or right, yeah.
So, these are recommendations. Posts obviously are easier to get going. Try out a story. Try starting with your own organic content you create versus sharing someone else's. Try and find other influencers, right? Again, one of the things I don't like about marketing is when you look at a textbook, it can sound manipulative, and we're not. I always tell folks, if I'm telling you to go find someone who's popular and influencing social media, to network with them, it's just human nature. If you want to build your business, you want to build your profile, you want to be with other people who are doing the same thing. So let's think about it that way. Engaging with other influencers, meaning people who do a post, if they have comments and likes, those are great people to socialize with. You should genuinely like them, because if you don't, that's not nice. Engage with your followers. If they type some, if they comment, thank them for commenting. If you get a notification they follow you, maybe send them a message. Thank you for the follow. And again, some of this might be out of scope for a one-on-one. Don't use too many stock photos. Try not to use bad quality photos unless you're trying to be artistic, right? Don't buy followers. You'll get, if you don't know this, you
It's a
can.
waste. It's a waste. It's just a waste.
You will get banned also. Don't use any automation tools. You'll see things like, build your Instagram following in 30 days. Avoid all that. They're using methods that Instagram does not want you to use.
Serenity would like some clarification around what do you mean by don't follow or unfollow, and then should we follow everyone that follows us?
Okay, good call. Well, I mean, that's
So, no, not necessarily. You don't need to follow everyone that follows you. Typically, if someone's following a business and if you're following your business, it's nice of you to do, but you don't have to do that. It's a good way to get some kind of perspective into kind of what your customers are doing. So it's good kind of intel. So frankly, if they'll let you follow them, like if your customers will let you follow them around, I would recommend it. And then don't follow.
From a personal account, I typically will follow someone who follows me. From a business, it might get kind of weird if someone posts a picture of like their 10-year-old son and like, so-and-so's carpentry likes your picture.
Yeah.
Or you got to be, you have to, I think.
Use your discretion.
Use your discretion.
Yeah.
So, whereas on Facebook, you have two people, one initiates a request to become a friend. If you accept, you automatically see each other. That's not true on Instagram. It doesn't have to be a two-way follow.
Mm-hmm.
So when to post and how many times to post, this is a subject of great debate. So a lot of people will initially feel, 5 to 7 times a week is too much. People are going to get sick of me. That could be true, but you also have to realize not everyone will see a post that you make. There are algorithms out there, it's suggested that there are algorithms. Your content's kind of shuffled. If Allison and I are friends, or if our businesses even follow each other, if she posts something, I might not see it in my feed, or it might be way down low and I might not ever see it.
Right, or days later, sometimes I've seen it kind of crop back up.
The platform, just like Facebook, is set up to give you content it thinks you're interested in. And, it's a fun experiment. If you want to go find a profile and go like everything and comment and then see how often that profile comes back up, you'd be amazed at how that can work. So in terms of times, statistically, everyone has a different opinion about this. I think you have to use your brain more than anything. Early morning seems to be the best. Weekdays are best. I think, it depends. You have to think about when your customers are online. If I'm in home improvement, I might think Friday or Saturday is a good time because people are at home. If you're talking about lawn and garden or a kitchen and they see a post about a lawn and they kind of poke their head out the window and they say, ooh, whereas if they're at work, during the week, maybe they're thinking a little differently. So you really have to think about, when your followers are online. I think you just have to, it's like a newsletter, right? And Amy, you can talk about this too. It's like, when is the best time to send a newsletter, or when is the best time to do anything? And I think you just kind of have to play around with it and see what works and what doesn't.
You do. There are certain standards, like I work with a solution provider with Constant Contact, and they do have some suggestions for particular industries. But in terms of, you know, whether that works for you might go by that initially, but then as you see, as you try a few different things and you look at the results, you might find that your results are different than what somebody else's would be in the industry across the country. So I know for one thing, you know, that Cape Codders are very different than somebody who's out maybe in the Midwest or on the West Coast. So it all kind of depends a little bit. You have to play around with it a little bit and find your sweet spot.
Right, art and science.
Yep, I definitely agree. And I'll just add again, kind of go back to A, what you're selling, and B, who you're selling to. And then even further more is like, don't just post or send an email just for the sake of it. Really kind of think about, is this something that I would want to look at? Before you post anything, really, would be kind of a rule of thumb. So you can post 20 times a day, but if it's really not very helpful or useful or visually, you know, beautiful or whatever, who's going to want to look at it? Not trying to be offensive, but really think about what you're posting before you post. And is it something that your potential customers would want to look at or engage with?
Yeah, I think Instagram is definitely more quality versus quantity. This is not a top of mind awareness game. This is a little bit more, I think less is more type situation. So our last slide is ads. Just like on Facebook, there's an ad system. You can sponsor ads or even stories, and it will have the little sponsored sign. You can add calls to action, like a button to do various things. And this is a little bit more advanced, but you can link your Instagram and Facebook account, and you can actually post on Instagram and push it to Facebook, and then advertise on Facebook back to Instagram. And again, that's beyond what we can talk about today. But there's the ad system is incredibly focused for Instagram and on Facebook. There's so much you can do with it. And right now, as Robin said, I think so many people are on social media right now. We're turning there for news, maybe unfortunately. But a lot of folks are just spending time, seeing what's going on. And right now is a great time to be talking about, you know, what we're doing. So Andrew had a question, which I'll address right now. So we have, if you do have a personal account and a business account, how do I add my second account? How do I switch back and forth? I put this little slide together, Andy. When you open the app, you can click on your profile icon, and then it will load a new screen. You'll basically see your feed. This is my feed, my personal feed. If you click on if you tap on your name, it will actually show you all the accounts that you've logged in as before, and you can log in or create a new account from there. And so if I'm logged in as Dale, but I'm also managing other profiles, or I have other profiles, I can use this method, tap, and now I'm liking, commenting, sharing, posting as that second profile. It doesn't matter if it's personal or business. That's a totally separate previous slide on how to do that. I thought this might show the password reset, but it looks like it doesn't. Richard, we'll get you some information offline on how to do that. Maybe a screenshot. One of us will look at it, and I know how to get a hold of you, I think, still. So, all right.
There was another question. I don't know.
Did I miss it? I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
failing.
good Zoom
Really on the
tutorial. I feel like we should do one.
Yeah.
I could do a Zoom
Robin
tutorial.
has one. Robin, don't you have one?
No, we did one, the Cape Cod Technology Council did one a couple of weeks ago, which we are thinking about rerunning. So
Yeah.
I will make sure to share that with Cape and Plymouth so you guys can share it with your audience.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. I know panelists, if you would want to put in the chat a way for anyone to get a hold of you if they have any questions or comments. Thank you for joining us. This is a really intense topic. I wish we could have covered more, but our goal was to kind of give you a flavor of what's happening and then kind of set you free on your Instagram journey. And also be here if you have any questions. You get stuck, feel free to reach out. No strings attached. Any parting words, gang?
No, except if there's any questions, I mean, I think everybody on this, all of the panelists know me, but I could talk about marketing, all things marketing endlessly. So please reach out with questions. Let Dale know what other topics you'd be interested in. I think we could talk about this, probably for a few hours. So yeah, reach out anytime.
I agree. Just like Alice and I could talk on different aspects of marketing all day long too, and be happy to help. But I just also want to say, thank everyone on here for letting me join as a panelist, and just say that I've worked with each and every one of you and on the panel, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. So if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to any of them or myself. And I look forward to doing more of these with you guys. So
Awesome. All right, well, that's a great place to stop. Sorry we went a few minutes late. Everybody have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
bye.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys.
Good to see you too.
Bye.
Bye.